So today we're gonna be explaining this painting. We're gonna be explaining the destruction and the actual motion behind it, even though it just looks like one big mess. I might go in depth, detail by detail. So this first cut right here is a knife cut put into the actual blank canvas that I turned from a cut into basically the eyebrow. I turned it to basically showing the expression of pain, turning that cut into basically expressing what it is a cut. Like you're sad, it turned that into the actual emotion of showing it. The next cut is basically the tear, so basically the emotion whelming up, the emotion falling down. So you have the emotion expressing itself and then falling down from the eye, and then you have it turning. Here's where the next cut comes, the third cut. Basically this is where it starts to become positive. The cut becomes a smile, right? So you have basically a cycle. You have a path. You have it coming from showing the emotion, having the emotion come out, having the emotion switch to something different, the positive. So it's basically the one, the yin, the start, the middle, then the end.
Then wait, the cuts show like more intensity to me, you know?
Yeah, they definitely show like points of like intensity.
Yeah.
Like more of something where you would like want to like focus in, because it's kind of like damn, and like each like it adds on to like a photo has 1,000 words, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like damn, this is really whatever you want to interpret it, because if
like,
someone else were
like I relate to this,
right? Because you could, I feel like anyone can relate to like the pain that this is, and like anyone can appreciate how you turn the actual like ugliness of how the canvas was and like what it was into the beauty of having it express what it actually shows. And then especially right here, like this one, like I completely get, especially how close it is. See how close it is to the actual painting? This cut right here and how it leaks, black but not red, basically shows the separation between how deep the wound can go, and then having it not actually affect the actual vital red, the intermeat of like my actual soul. It avoids the whole being that is me, but still hurts me deeply. And then that is just basically all of me, a representation. And then all the drawings on here is like what's on my head. As you can see, the breaking through of the kind of peeking, like the teasing of the third eye, as you kind of, it's there but you don't ever see it until you actually get like the idea that it is there. So it's a smile but upside down, you know, kind of like a cheeky thing. Bunch of little smiles, because it does like change phase depending on how you look at it. Very interesting. Then I have just a bunch of like the euphoric kind of just brain patterns, as having my thoughts just wander and shape and shift as they come in, because you can't ever like have a solid thought, because once you have a thought you always have something that comes back or something random comes in, because you're always living in a present. You'd have a thought of like this, and then you remember, oh damn, I have to do something later, or like, oh, I'm chilling at this place, I'm here and here. Or you always have 100 things just running through your head, because you are just a living representation of like everything going on. And then this just shows the emotional kind of pain that I go through like daily. Just the repetition of what's on my brain mainly. This is my thinking, and then this is my emotions. So it has a separation. You can basically see why I colored this and not this, because this is my basic like actual processing, while this is my emotional background, having my side fight to the other side. Then kind of the pitter patter of this is basically having like the brain kind of break into different pieces, kind of having my brain explode in some kind of sort, and then having it kind of come back to form be like the first letter of my name, and having it slowly build my name on like, you know, life, because I'm trying to write my name in time. I feel like the letter and having me realize how important my life is the first step in being able to write my name. And I feel like that's pretty like soul touching right there, you know? And then everything else is kind of, oh my god.
that was clutch though.
Clutch, I caught it. everything else is a little branch of kind of growing. This is would be like the nerves. They're kind of yeah, the nerves of my brain and the kind of the cells and DNA kind of detaching from like me trying to find myself from my actual just inner being, because you have the solid color and then you have the non-set, very blatant one, which basically is not set yet, but is still trying to kind of figure itself out, because you have just these strips and none of the other strips follow. You have it trying to discover its inner peace and kind of keep figuring out and building, while you have the destruction of everything else that priorly was there, because you have to destroy the past to make something new. While I have this amazing representation of myself right here, quote unquote, kind of consciousness that kind of goes from, oh, devil on your shoulder, angel on your shoulder. That's my process of thinking, you know. Oh, there's a consequence to that, and then there's the good side to that. What am I gonna do? The thinking, the processing. This is the inner thinking of a human. Basically, this separates us from animals. This is the separation of our species. He agrees. And this right here is kind of it just being pushed. You can see it moving. This is kind of just a whoosh in color. And then it always showing a lesson right here. It's kind of speaking and kind of reminding us. With rain, the sun follows, which is amazing, because, you know, you kind of just have to remember that the cycle continues after one thing. You can't just look at the bad. You have to look at the good that comes with it. Then we have the craziness that is over here, which I still haven't fully came up with like a full explanation for it, but this is basically a source of happiness, a big blob of just pure, like, the emotion itself. The pure emotion. And then you have it kind of like pulsate and have like all these little like veins come out of it, because it just is so intense. It is pretty, or it feels pretty, it's nice, but itself doesn't really look so, but we don't care because of how it feels, you know. So this is just saying how intense it is in general of an emotion. Then the connections to me, the connections to the face, it's the happiness feeding into me and me connecting different things to happiness. For example, family. For example, it could be whatever materialistic items. It could be school for some people. You have different connections that build up over time, and then whenever you have one break, you have one come off, you have these little spurts in the background. These are basically lights, or basically the happiness falling out, falling down, and it feeding down to everything else. You know, it gives basically life to everything else around it. It doesn't have any use for me anymore. It's not attached to me, but it doesn't mean that it has no benefit at all. It feeds to everything around me. And the beauty of nature, you have here the diversity of different things that actually grow from it. And then you also have the actual plant life, the diversity attached to me, and I have it actually grow onto me to show that even though it's different and it has like completely different like relations, it still can relate to me and still can attach. So it's not going to waste something completely random. We're all attached in one way. And this is what the cycle is basically showing. Everything here is basically a cycle of showing how you have to ignore the pain and kind of make sure that you remember that there's happiness after the pain. You have to learn from what it is. And this is like a moving image out on its own. It's just straight beauty, to my opinion. I only started drawing whenever I had inspiration, and I stopped whenever I didn't have any inspiration. And to be honest, I'm really proud of this drawing. And I don't know how I'd feel if I didn't have this painting in my room, because this is just like straight beauty. What do you think?
I fuck with this, bro.
Like, imagine you would have never saw this drawing if this drawing would have never existed. You just soak in that beauty, man.
Yeah, bro. Like, I really don't know what to say. Like, I really respect this, though.
Like, the pain that really went into this.
Yeah. It's like I could relate to this.